Sorry. Only family we wear ya people we boya. Be only family we wear ya people we boya. Also cost one be ya people boya. Wow. Wow, we need to add Ikenna. There's add Ikenna. Sponsor, you can sit down. Wow. Wow, I am sweating. I can't believe that. I danced more than Onyeko when on Wihoza. Wow. Add Ikenna to the call. Add Ikenna to the call. Wow, God's love, Akban. Wow, I am sweating. I can't believe this. Wow, wow, wow. Dr. Temitope, I think I danced more than you, although I wasn't dancing. A lot of interruption, and yeah, Ikenna. No, you add him. Best, add Ikenna. That's why I added you to the call. Add Ikenna quickly, please. All right. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening, all. I have added him. Okay, fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Good evening this evening. Wow, wow, wow. Tonight is International Women's Day. Tonight is not International Women's Day, but tonight, IOM is marking International Women's Day. Yes, we are marking International Women's Day. And with us tonight is Dr. Temitope is one of our special speakers. We have on the backstage Madam Majorie. Yeah. We have Madam Hope, IOM Madam Hope, and we are expecting Ikenna to join us. Best, you can call him directly. We are expecting Ikenna to join us. I just got information now that he will soon join us. All right, so before we start, I want to greet family members as usual. Yes, I want to indeed greet family members as usual. So, Chijoke, good evening, Chijoke. Happy Women's Day. Good evening, Christiana. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, Mary. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, Sylvia. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, Opeyemi. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, Asher. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, Dolapo. Happy Women's Day to you. And we have good evening, Fresh Sonny. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, Faith Yusi. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, Madeline. Happy Women's Day to you. Good evening, God's love. Happy Women's Day to you. And I will say, last but not the least, good evening, Oni. Happy International Women's Day to you. Yes, tonight, as I said, IOM will be marking International Women's Day. We will be using tonight to mark International Women's Day. And as I said to you, we have our renowned speakers here ready to dive into the topic of today. But before we start, I want to say this to you. Irrespective of the fact that it's International Women's Day, we want to localize it. We want to bring it back home to Nigeria. Nigeria, for 64 years after independence, a country, Nigeria, is a country where women are almost half, I repeat, women are almost half the population of Nigeria. However, so far in Nigeria, we have had 0 female presidents of Nigeria. Woo! What an achievement! We have had 0 Senate presidents of Nigeria. Wow! Tell me something. After 64 years of independence, we have had 0 female governor. Apart from Ngozi Etiba, a governor that served for just 3 months. What? Out of 4-year tenure or 8-year tenure, she successfully served 3 whole months. Why is this the case? It is simple. Family members, it is absolutely simple because women have been trained by both men and women to be beggars. What? Yes, women have been trained to depend on men for survival. Women have been trained to be under a man. Meanwhile, in our neighboring country like Tanzania, Ethiopia, and a lot of other countries, I tell you, women have emerged as head of countries. Yet in Nigeria, women are still treated like third-class citizens, I call them. Oh my God. Is it a new news? Absolutely not. What about our girls that become women? Girls are married off as children. Why their brothers? Listen, listen. Family members, I need you to listen very attentively. Our girls, our girl children are married off. They are married off as children. Why their brothers, their elder brothers are sent to school. Women are raped. When they are raped, when they are abused and killed, guess what happened? Their attackers walk free on the streets of Nigeria, boasting nothing mega, nothing mega. Yes, widows are stripped of their properties. And what happens? Nothing mega. They are left to beg for food. In fact, what happens when they are stripped of their properties after the death of their husband? The same perpetrator that took their property is whom they go to beg for food. What happens? They are at their beck and call. And what do they call it? They say, this is the tradition. You must follow the tradition. Women stay in abusive marriages because the world will laugh at them if they try to leave the marriage because they are abused. And yet, most of these women that abuse are solely dependent on their husbands. Why is this the case? Simple. It's simple like ABC. Our religion, not angel, don't come again. Yes, our religion, our culture and tradition, even family have championed, have changed. Listen, family, religion, tradition, and culture have changed women. They have so changed women. And right now, we all are saying enough is enough. Women, enough is enough. No more you have to suffer because that is the will of God for you, as they tell us in the Bible. No, it's not that, because men are in the throne of power and wealth. Men are in the throne of power and wealth, and women are, as I said earlier, at their beck and call. Women, I urge you, God's love, Christabel, Patience, Jennifer, Dorcas, you are a leader. Women, you are a leader. You are a builder. You are a force. I will say enough is enough. Chijoke, I am saying enough is enough. Sylvia, enough is enough. We are not slaves. This must end. I repeat, this must end. And this year's International Women's Day, remember, as you will hear from our speakers, the theme is accelerate action. That is exactly what I want to do tonight. Accelerate action means no more excuses. Men, Dr. Temitope, we are still waiting for Ikenna. I want to say to you men, fresh sunny. I want to say to you, Abel and James, I want to call upon you and say, it is time to lead this fight. It is time. We are tired of working on women alone for over 100 years. Since the first women rights movement, women have been pulling through, and yet the achievement is sluggish. It's so slow to achieve. So on tonight, whilst IOM is marking International Women's Day, I want to hand over the fight to men. Men, it's time to lead this fight. Yes. An oppressed nation, you need to know, can never rise. A country where women are silenced will never prosper. We are all surprised. Why is Nigeria backwards? Why are things not working? We want to all leave. I've left. I am here in UK where we enjoy human rights. Everybody's running to UK and America. People want to leave the country. Why? Because a country where women are oppressed is never going to move forward. This is an emergency call. I am calling 999 tonight. 999 because it's an emergency call. To men, Dr. Temitope, I want to say the power It is time for you to open doors for women. When I say open doors, Dr. Temitope, I don't mean open doors. You guys have been opening the door. We need you to open the door of power. We need you to open the doors of leadership to daddies. Daddy Temitope, Daddy Dr. Temitope, I want you to raise your daughter to know their worth. We don't need men and women to raise daughters and tell them that you are nobody, you are under the man. Stop it. Stop it. Accelerate action means raise your daughter to know her worth. And I want to call on my brothers and my brothers. Brothers, please, it is time to stand and defend your sisters. When they are telling you, you are the man, you are the leader, say, no, I have a sister. She can be the leader as well. Brothers, when they are telling you that the house, the family is yours, the property is yours, the woman will be married off. Brothers, say, no, I have a sister. She will share this property with me. She is also a woman. It is enough, should be enough when brothers will keep quiet and look and wait to inherit properties because it has been handed over to them. Brothers, it's time to say no. I stand with my sister. And to women, Mary, Gowen, Precious, Ayoluwa, Rose Onuko, I am saying to you, women, stop. Stop accepting oppression as your fate. Oh, it's my fate. I am just a woman. Oh, I'm nobody. I don't have a voice. Stop it. Now is accelerate action. To accelerate action, I need you, Sylvia, Grace. I need you all to start to make your own money. I know majority, some of you are doing it. Some of you are not. Edo Mary Juliet, I need you to start to make your own money. Start your own business. Get skilled. Get education. Get the financial freedom. Financial freedom is power. Power. Why do we depend on men? Why do we allow things like this to happen? So I need parents. We are all parents. Parents, please invest in your daughters. Stop raising your girls to depend on men. Oh, you know you're a girl. Men come here on in our Mind Talk show to say that they are told that their sisters will look after them. Or when they marry, their wives will look after them. Parents, stop it. Please, stop it. Stop training your daughters to serve your sons. Stop it. They are not slaves. And I want to call on you again, Dr. Temitope. It's time to break the circle. No more waiting. No more silence. It is time to break the circle. Accelerate action. Dr. Temitope, I'm looking at you. Accelerate action means train your girl. Tell your girl that she has equal power in the house. Enough is enough. Tonight, we are calling 999. It's an emergency call. And on that note, I want to say once again, good evening. So since you're, okay, I think it's frozen. And I think some of them are yet to join. So, Madam Hope, I want to ask you the first question while we wait for Dr. Temitope to come in. Madam Hope, I want you to tell me, I think he can continue with the other guests. All right, so they are just giving me information regarding Ikenna. Madam Hope, my question to you is, first of all, is gender equality possible? Is it possible for gender equality to be achieved? Because Nigeria is a male-dominated country. Nigeria is a male-dominated country where men are in the arena of power. So my question is gender equality possible? Thank you. Madam Hope. Madam Major, you can mute.
Good evening in our Mind family. My answer is yes, because all things are possible. It's like we said, our destiny is in our hands.
Fantastic.
It is in our hands to make it possible. Because starting from when you begin to make it clear in the house, the Nigeria we are talking about is made up of individual families.
Yeah.
It's individual families that made up this Nigeria we are talking about. So if if our own Nurse Angel made her children to know that two of them are created equal, irrespective of their gender, the same right my son have to live, to be alive, the same right my daughter has to live, to be alive. The same right two of them have to grow, develop, go to school, worship God, do everything. That is where the equality starts. The same way she breastfed the son, the same way she breastfed the daughter. The same way she carried the son in her womb, the same way she carried her daughter in her womb. They cook in the house, everybody eats. But when you now begin to distinguish, you are not supposed to enter the kitchen. You are the man. That is where the problem starts. But when, as they are growing, everybody is made to do the chores according to their capacity, according to their age, as they are growing, irrespective of their gender. If it's you that are supposed to wash plate, you wash plate. If you are supposed to sweep, you sweep. If you are supposed to go and reheat the food in the and serve everybody, you do it. You will not wait, you come and balance. Maybe you came back earlier before your sister, or both of you went to school and came back. You now relax, remove your uniform, remove and relax. So you are waiting for your sister. If your mother is not there, you are waiting for your sister to reheat the food and serve you. If your sister is not there, you are waiting for your mother. And we are talking about you are up to 10 years old. You're up to 8 years old. Your mother has already cooked the food, but you are still waiting for her to come. Maybe she will not, because of you. She's in the office. She has gone to work or she has gone to market. You expect her to come back to reheat the food for you because you are a male child. So there are things that when we look at, you find out that we are doing more harm to ourselves than good. Because when these children will be helping us, they will be feeling like the man in the house. A full-fledged young man will be in the house. The mother will still go to work. Maybe she has even risen to the level of a permanent secretary in the civil service. You and your daddy, you came back, you are relaxed. Your mother came back from the office around 6 p.m. You are waiting for this same woman at her age, and you are already a graduate, or you are even an undergraduate. You are waiting for your mother to enter kitchen to go and cook for you people before you eat. When you look at it, you find out that we are not doing ourselves good. So equality we are talking about, we are not talking about equal strength. We are not talking about equal capacity, because God has created everybody with very unique nature. That if you are talking about physical strength, you find out that it's not even every man, every male child had that physical strength, in as much as majority of them has physical strength. There's still some exceptional women that have physical strength, even starting from the time when they are even a girl child, because it's a girl child that will grow up to become a woman. It's a boy child that will grow up and become a man. The training you give them, when you made it that they will see themselves as equal. They have equal rights in that house. They have equal right to ask you anything they want to ask you. It's not you give only to the daughter and will not give to the son. That is where you have started discriminating.
Fantastic.
If you give only the son without giving the daughter, that's the starting of this discrimination. It's you that, in fact, inequality is a man-made. It's man-made because you created it, because this thing you are talking about, this equality, varies from culture to culture.
Correct.
Varies from nation to nation, varies from family to family. In this Nigeria alone, the way our ethnic groups differs, you find out that our equality as male and female differs from culture to culture. So it's man-made. It's not God that made it. God only made us unique If you're a male child, there are attributes, there are biological component that distinguishes you as a male. There is this other one that distinguishes you like as a female, and you have different role to play. And this is mostly, you can only see this from the point of biological and reproductive responsibility and role. When you remove biological, reproductive role and responsibility, that's the only thing that distinguishes a male and female. Every other thing God has given you is a matter of nature and nurture, the way you nurture it, the way God has given you, even though you are created a man, a male child, the way you are groomed and trained will determine what you become later. If you are trained to appreciate your sister, to see her that God has created two of you equal and has given two of you have equal opportunity, and God has given you people that you can, the same rights you have to live is the same rights your sister have to live. When you parents made it possible that two of us have given birth to you people, it's just that you are a male, this one is female, you have equal rights to our inheritance. You find out that all this problem wouldn't come up. That's why for such a family that have taken time to give their children these proper equal opportunities, they hardly have problems in terms in later, whether they are there or not, because the children have already come to terms to understand we have the same parents, we all have equal right to come back to enter our parents' house, to whatever is there is our own. It's not this person's own. You won't treat the other one as if it's there. Even house helps are not even treated like that, because there are some house help that people who are good people and with good conscience, that child is somebody's child. If that child is living with you, or that person is living with you, you see that person as who calls you mother or father, they are under your roof, you are their foster parents, without distinguishing between them and your. So you find out that nobody will disrespect each other. Your children will not disrespect the person you said is a house help to you. It's the way you treat them. There are some people that will train their house help to university level. You won't even know the difference. They buy the same clothes for them, so the same, treat them as their own child. How much more where your own son and daughter, you start discriminating between them. Most of the time you now do more harm to the boy child, thinking you are doing good to him. Meanwhile, you're also discriminating him when he's supposed to learn how to cook to survive. I said, get out from the kitchen. Don't you know you are a boy or you are a man?
Thank you very much, Madam Hope.
Okay, let me stop here for now.
You have, in fact, family members are saying to you to ride on. What I will say to you to hold on. Wonderful, wonderful statement. And on that note, Madam Majorie, if you guys will be giving me short 2 minutes responses, so that we'll be coming round and round. We have a lot of questions I would like us to tackle. Thank you once again, Madam Hope. Madam Majorie, you are the next. I want to say that Madam Hope has spoken a lot, and she talked about the inequality women face being man-made, meaning human-made, and it varies from culture to culture. On that note, the question I want to throw to you, Madam Majorie, is what is the current state of women's rights in Nigeria, and how do tradition and religious belief affect whatever states you're going to tell us that women's rights is in Nigeria? How do traditional and religious belief affect women's rights in Nigeria? Madam Majorie.
Oh, thank you, Nurse Angel. Madam Hope, thank you so much. Good to be here on you. In our mind is in my mind, because my destiny is right here in my hands.
Fantastic. Well done. 2 Moza for you. Moza. You don't get it right. Well done. Continue.
Family members, welcome to an exhilarating time, and women and lovers of women everywhere all over the world. Congratulations and happy International Women's Day to all of us. Okay, the state of women's rights in Nigeria, I would say it's inexistent. Why would I say it's inexistent? I would say it's inexistent because the laws in Nigeria that support human rights, women's rights, are not, after all, women's rights are actually human rights. They are not different. The fact that we need to be addressing policy change, policy improvement, policy framework that will specifically treat and address women's rights tells you that something is very wrong. The fact that even with these laws, women's rights are still not enforceable, are still not enforced, tells us that there are serious inequalities existing in Nigeria. So that brings me also to the question of equality and equity. Equality, I will choose to say what Bob Marley says in his song War. He says, it will remain but a fleeting illusion to be desired but never attained. It can never be attained. Not in Nigeria, anyway, or in any African state. What do I mean? It's not enough that I teach my children and I raise them in my home to see themselves as equal, that they are equal. It's not enough. When they go to school, what does the teacher impart to them?
Fantastic.
When they are in the church, what do the religious leaders space impacts to them? When they go to look for work, what does the society do? And the laws that are made, are they able to immediately engage that process and see that the right things are done? The answer is a clear no. So for me, I think we should be more realistic and engage a robust activation of equity, which is almost the same as equality, but seeks to give each according to need. What do I mean? Where equality seeks to maybe give everybody a ladder, the same length, the same weight of ladder to climb up. Of course, you and I know that a person with some form of disability cannot ascend that ladder. If equity, on the other hand, seeks to look at the need and provide the same platform to leverage and elevate. So this is a conversation for another day. And we need to look at it in the real terms and look at what can work and what women can engage and get maximum output and outcome. Now let's look at the inequality status in Nigeria. It's politically, there is 0 to 0.5 participation of women in the political space. Why is that? Why is that? They like to come at us with the argument that women will not vote women and all of those. It is a man who preaches a woman against women. But unfortunately, Stockholm syndrome is real and it pervades our society, especially with our women folk. We have seen it again and again, where women, for no just reason, will take up a woman and begin to denigrate her and put her down. But this is a conscious act orchestrated by the people who want her to think that this woman is her enemy. Now, in the employment space, for some careers and employment, they will readily move towards a man than a woman. And even where a woman is more productive to the organization, she's not paid the wage the same as the man. That happens especially in the private sector. And this is not regulated. Our laws have not, irrespective of laws, our laws have not been able to bring anybody to accountability on this perspective. There is also where women are given preference beyond their capacity in job spaces too. That's a fact. We saw the recent case of the central bank governor who has 2 female assistants, who were paid billions of naira, way above anything anybody has ever been paid at the CBN. which raised an uproar. We're facing the situation of Natasha, distinguished Senator Natasha Aboti Uduaga, who raised an alarm of sexual harassment in the House, in the largest, most superior house of lawmaking body in Nigeria, the Senate. And rather than listen to the valid voice of the senator, a woman of impeccable character who is a lawyer by profession and a lawmaker, a senator, they choose to clamp down on her, take away all her rights, take away her security, take away the payments of the Federal Republic, not of the Senate, and cut the salary of her staff, her office. So that's a bit high-handed. And you see the draconianness of the whole thing. Where there is law, if it wasn't a woman, why the hell does she have to raise a voice where others have gotten the same treatment and they get? There is because Senator Aboti Uduaga.
Mute, please, mute.
So there are inequalities in all sectors of Nigerian society, and it's real, and it's stifling, and it's very, very sad. Thank you.
Fantastic. Wow, what a statement. Once again, I want to beg us to shorten our speeches. I know we have a lot to say because we will repeat the question we may need to ask later on. Dr. Temitope, I have a question for you. We so far has gotten, Ikenna has joined, and our IOM Japa barrister is also on the call. So, Dr. Temitope, the question is still on tradition and religion and how it impacts on women's equality to that of men. And Dr. Temitope, as a man, I want to ask you a direct question. What does women's rights mean to you as a man? And number two, Dr. Temitope, I want to ask you the second question. Remember, the first is, what does women's rights mean to you? Secondly, how do tradition and religious or cultural belief, tradition, religion, culture, belief in Nigeria shape you, Dr. Temitope, men's view on women's rights? You're muted.
Hello?
Yes, fantastic.
Yes. In our mind, always in my mind, my destiny is in my hand. In our mind, family, you are the best, you are the very best on the planet Earth. Each day gives me joy when I think about in our minds, family. And I know that every moment you are always in my mind. And I can assure you, Nurse Angel search out for each of us. And that as we journey together, we are also saying that we should encourage self-productivity, independency, and that's where our destiny is in our hands. Don't be over-dependent on anybody. So tonight, what does the women's right means to me? It means human rights to me. Both the male child and the female child were all first born as human. We're all human. And each of us have rights to life. We have rights of association for very good things of life. So that's the first thing. Nobody has the right to take anybody's life. So the women's right is fundamentally same as human right. And nobody should deny the women their fundamental human right. So how does the culture and religion and tradition has shaped my own view, my world view about the women right? Again, we cannot deny certain facts, one of which includes the fact that as human beings, we are the product of our culture. We are the product of our traditions. We are the product of our religion. We are religious beings. Regardless of any part of the world we belong, our culture, that is not to undermine the fact that, again, education is a medium that liberates you from cultural problems, religious problems. So for those who do not have quality education, they are slaves to culture and slaves to, and my culture and tradition does not change the position where I stand, which is protecting women and seeing them first as human beings and ensuring that their rights and privileges are protected without any form of religious, tradition, or cultural bias. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you,
Temitope.
ma'am.
Thank you very much. So we have our IOM barrister here, but before we ask him a question, which will be related to what Madam Majori said about Natasha, the senator, Dr. Temitope, if you want to mute, okay. So my question will first of all go to Ikenna. Ikenna, I want to welcome you to the show. The question I have for you as a man, Ikenna, is how can men inspire other men to join the fight for gender equality? The question is coming up because a lot of times, men support men in terms of power. When you ask a man, for instance, if I ask men, should a man lead a woman? They will say absolutely yes. Men should lead women. If I ask women, should a woman lead a man? The woman will say mostly no. Trust me, that men should lead women. And men will say men should lead men. You see, men support men in leadership. Women, like Madam Majori says, she doesn't know why, but it's obvious. They will say men should lead women. So, Ikenna, the question again to you is, how can men, just as they support men, inspire other men to join the fight for gender equality? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nurse Angel. And my name is Amom Niken. I'm sorry for joining very, very late. I was another meeting earlier. So going back to the question, I think this comes with a long run. And most times when I argue, I will tell them, why not we talk about the boy child?
Good.
The angle of the child helps the girl child. So I believe from training your son, your little boy at home, you need to encourage them to know, let them know that the right you have as a boy, your sister as a girl has that right. And if this thing happens from there growing up, it will go a long way. Most people you see who beat their wife is because growing up their father was actually beating their mother. So, but if you train I'll keep on campaigning most times and tell them, when we campaign about the girl child, let's not forget about the boy child. Because that violence is being perpetrated by the man, few times by the women. But now, if we're looking at a way to make men support men, let's start from the grassroots. Let's look at the boy child. Let's let that boy know that right you have. Because most times you go to secondary school, if it's a mixed school, they will tell you for the senior prefect, he must be a man. Then the senior prefect must be a woman. From that early stage, you're discriminating already. So you are pushing the women to know that their position is not to be the governor or to be the deputy governor. You are pushing them to not contest for president, but rather try to go for running mate for vice president. You're already making them the second feather. So I believe if we are supporting this, let's go back to the root. And coming selection, we also need to, there's a lot of sensitization work to be done there. But to me, I'm moving it and then of starting, going back to our roots. Let's start afresh. Let's talk about that boy side. Let's let that boy, because once this knowledge is imparted on the little one, that right you have as a man, your sister also has that right. What sort of some places your parents because the boy, if the girl child, start home, let your brother go to school. You don't have money to tremble table. And why in situation you see the girl child be more intelligent than the boy child? Constrained, that boy child will drop out as a long run, and you miss out. So I think the grassroots is what will come up on this. Let's go back to our roots. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this straightforward response, Ikenna. I will now call upon our IOM Japa resource person, speaker, Barrister Godfrey. Barrister Godfrey, before you can join us, Madam Majori was pointing out the fact that women have no right in Nigeria. And she cited the case of Senator Natasha. We will talk about the statistics, but right now, statistics means is not human. Let's talk about the individual human cases we see. Barrister Godfrey, the issue, we don't want you to dive in right now because we are going to treat Natasha's case later. But right now, we want to talk about human rights first, then we'll now use case examples later. My question to you as a barrister is, people are talking about law reforms, but I want to ask, we have laws. We have not yet reformed laws. If we ask for law reforms, it could take another 20 years. The laws we already have, how can Nigeria enforce the existing laws that we have on ground as at now to better protect women from discrimination and violence? And in answering, I want you to tell us, does Nigeria law protect human rights and women's rights? If yes, okay, before reforming it, how can we ensure the execution and enforcement of existing laws to protect women from discrimination and violence? For instance, a lot of men beat their wives and they will say, out of love, I cannot read, but I will be marriedless, I will be divorced. I don't want this society to laugh at me. What do you advise us to do, barrister, as a man and as a barrister?
Thank you very much. I will not delve into what the law says, strictly speaking, because if I want to delve into what the law says, that means I have to bring the law books and quote verbatim what the law says. But by reason of hindsight, we all know that the Constitution guarantees rights to equal rights to every citizen of Nigeria, and women also belong to that citizen of Nigeria. So their right as enshrined in the Constitution is also available to them. That right, like the other speaker said, is strictly speaking fundamental human rights. Is enshrined in our Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Anything that is contrary to the Constitution, anything that is inconsistent with the Constitution is, to the extent of such inconsistency, null and void. And it is not for anybody to make that pronouncement that this law is null and void. It means that you have to challenge it in court for the court to make that judicial pronouncement as to the state of that particular law. So the Constitution, being the supreme court of the land, guarantees fundamental rights to every citizen. That fundamental right is equally for everybody. There is nothing like this one is higher, that one is lower. That men have this right, women should have the other lesser right. It is not done. The law is clear on that. Now, the problem we have, in most cases, the women contribute greatly to their being pushed lower in this matter. Like what you were saying just before I started talking. I don't want to be there, but people will laugh at me. Who is laughing at you? Your right is being dumped in the mud, and you are saying people will laugh at me. I'm always blunt when I talk on such issues. As a woman, you have the right to assert your position. Ensure that your right is respected. You can approach the court because that's the arbiter we have. If we wait for the government to review the law, that will take a very long time. But what laws are we reviewing? The laws as enshrined in the Constitution, which guarantees equal rights. The laws are there. It is for people to make use of them. If your right is being trampled upon as a woman, you have the unfettered right to approach the appropriate authority to have your rights respected and enforced. In the homes, let's say during our parents' days, maybe they will show preference for the male child in some communities, relegating the female child. It is not proper, but time has moved. People have progressed. Awareness is everywhere now. Even in my own personal house, in my own family, I tell my children, look, you see this house? It is for all of you equally. The boy, the girls, you own this house equally. If I'm not there, if I'm selling, if anybody is going to handle it on your behalf, the process must be shared equally. Fantastic. If you do it like that, your children from the word go will understand that their brother and their sister have equal rights to your assets. The Supreme Court has gone further to make pronouncement on something that has to do with rights, like in family inheritance. It is the law that the girl child inherits with the male child. None has the overall right. It is only when you go to some customs, some customary rules, that's where you can say the woman doesn't inherit. But the court has overruled that one. The woman now inherits. So in some families, some women see themselves as underdogs. Like I have 9 sisters. I have 9 sisters. You cannot tell them that they don't have any rights. Who are you? You cannot tell them that they don't have any rights. They know that they have equal rights with you. So it is some women that work against their fellow women and themselves in this right issue. As a woman, because the Constitution has said that you have equal rights, you can go for the office of the governor. You can go for the office of the president. Small, you will get there. It will take some time before the society generally will say, let's support a woman in Nigeria. But then, someone has to set the ball rolling. A woman must come out to go for that particular office before she starts being support. So, like I said at the beginning of my talk, most of these things are being fought against by the woman because of the way they see themselves. As a woman, if the woman didn't go to school, that's a different ballgame. She doesn't know her rights, I must say. But a woman that has been to university, graduated, excelled in some offices above her peer, the men, How can she turn around to say, I don't have right to do this? Let the man do it. No. So the woman has to sit up on her own, fight for her rights. Then people will give her support. Because if ordinarily, if you pick somebody and prop the person up, the person doesn't understand what he or she, what she's there for. But once the woman comes out, she will deliver her manifesto, people will listen to her and know what she's capable of doing. Then the support will come. I don't know whether I've answered your question in any way.
Thank you.
But that's my view of this.
Thank you very much.
And like I said, I'm not anchoring it strictly on any legal pronouncement or any law. This is just common sense. Thank you very much.
All right. Oh my God. Wow, wow, wow. He has given women 1 blow 7 apples. It is a wake-up call. A wake-up call. And I want to ask Madam Hope the next question. I will be quick. The question is a bit of a statement than a question. Madam Hope, Barrister said that women work against women in women's rights. And he went further to say that most of this women right issue being denied are being fought against by women. He's saying it from experience. And I want to say to you that personally, here when I was in Ireland, I lived in Ireland before moving to UK. In Ireland, I joined an Igbo meeting. It's called Anambra State Association. It's a meeting of both men and women. And like somebody, I think his Ikenna said, that in schools, men and boys are told that they are going to be prefects, while women are deputy. So in that meeting, when I came, they voted for me unanimously to be the vice president of the Anambra State Association, made up of men and women. And we had a man that was voted in as the president. Okay. Fortunately or unfortunately, first of all, we had a constitution. The constitution said for any reason, if the president is not there, the vice president automatically assumes the post of the president. And unfortunately, the president, who was a man at the time, was not, he had a lot of engagement. I was chairing the meeting. I was leading because he's always taking permission for one reason or the other. One day, the president that has not been active in the meeting came and said, I cannot continue. I have a whole lot of things. I will not be able to do this. All hell was set loose. That means constitution of the association said, if the president is not available, the vice automatically takes over. The men, they kind of uprooted their hair and said, a woman, Wanyi, cannot be the president of men. You know, they started, looking for what to do. Guess what? We have women in the meeting. They all said no. And not just that. Understandable that women said no. And their reason is, how can you lead a man? Okay, understood. That is the training. However, the men, when they go home, their wives, hey, these women are not in the meeting. I started getting messages from wives. I am in the meeting. I'm the vice president. I didn't want to be. They voted for me. I accepted. And I was leading. In fact, during my leadership, because I was leading them, the ministers of immigration, senators were attending our meeting. When I was the vice president, I'm speaking loud. Let them come and contest. I was bringing in ministers of Ireland, ministers of integration, senators, representatives, even the president, the prime minister. Then I met with him because I'm sorry, but I'm a powerful woman and I know that. However, since leaving the meeting, I'll tell you that is only kneeling down of women and serving their husband kola nut that I see most of the time. So back to what I was saying, I started getting phone calls from my fellow women. They will say hello, I say yes. They will say I am the wife of the man in the meeting. I heard that you want to lead my husband. I heard you want to rule my husband. How dare you, a common woman, be my husband's leader? Waiting, mega. What is happening? So I got more backlash or more pushback from women than men, even because at a stage the men called me and begged me that please let us change the constitution. I'm like, don't change it. It's a constitution. Don't change it. I will leave your meeting. So you continue your rubbish. I'm not interested. They didn't want me to leave because they know I did a lot for the meeting when I was there. They said, no, stay. Just stay as the vice president. Then we'll change the constitution and get a man to come in and be the president. I said, God forbid. I am not, I can't take this kind of rubbish. So, Dr. Hope, my question to you now is, what is the biggest challenge in combating gender-based violence in Nigeria? Dr. Hope, just the biggest challenge.
The biggest challenge regarding the women backlashing, frustrating other women, is that the question?
Not particularly. It's a more of a general. I just agreed with Barrister because I remember when women were fighting me, you can't lead my husband. How dare you, a woman like me, want to be a leader? So the question is,
where are you?
What is a general question. If you want to tie it to women, fine. You can tie it. What do you think, Madam Hope, is the biggest challenge in combating this gender-based inequality between men and women? Let's put it that way.
Inequality and discrimination
between men and women. What is the biggest challenge?
Between men and women. Yes. The biggest challenge is still what I have said from the beginning, and I heard my two brothers echoing it. Is the nurture, is the orientation. And that is the only thing that will still solve the problem. When a child is born with like the brain is like a plain slate. Mm-hmm. It's what you write in it that will be read. So the way our male and female children are nurtured, so is the way they will, because the generations, the people that our forefathers that brought up this culture, religion that we are all of us are enforcing one way or the other, directly or indirectly, because they handed it over by grooming and training. As the child is being breastfed, the mother is talking to her. As the girl child is growing up, the mother is instilling it, her inferiority. She's not equal to her brother. The way she does a thing, they say, you are a woman. You are going to get married. You are going to do this. The training, the forcing it. So from what you had explained on your own, you find out that you won't blame these women. In as much as they are grown up, they have changed to show you that it's not whether because they are in Nigeria or not. Yeah. They had carried that orientation to the other side of the nation, where they have gone there, they met a different culture, but what they have been nurtured, as far as they are concerned, they are still Africans, they are still Nigerians, that their culture, that their nurture, what they have been nurtured to, that they are holding on it. That's why even when there is a constitution, they were ready to violate it because of the way an Oyibo who has a different orientation will not behave that way, will not react that way. So the challenge we have, whether you call it when we begin to get to the point of Senate, when we begin to get to the point of being graduate in our workplace, in the school, if we are trained, the girl child is made to know that she has equal rights with her fellow siblings, male siblings. And the boy child is made to know that all of them have equal rights. even when they get to school, when you see that the principals and the teachers that have also been groomed and trained to know that the male and female have equal rights, I don't think that they will start introducing this aspect because you're a female, you have to be deputy. And if children are grown up with that consciousness, you see that the enforcement we are talking about will come to play because they will not accept it. They will collectively stand up for their female, especially when they know this girl supposed to be the head girl in the school, and she's qualified, she has everything that qualifies her, not because she's a female, that's why she will not be the head student. You will see them, they will mobilize, even some male children also knowing that she is qualified, they will stand up for her, and she will become the head girl in that school. So whatever that is being done will still go back. The challenge is our training, our orientation, our grooming. Now, that's why our IOM generation now, we are mobilizing for us to become agent of change, to let there be a paradigm shift. Let us start. It's not immediately. The way their own lasted what we are addressing is a long time thing. So it will take long time again, but we can start it. The Igbo man said that Osita Deba Mano Deba, but that's if we start today to be good, it's still on time. So we can still now, we may not achieve it today, but we can achieve it tomorrow, because all these things, all these children have been groomed and nurtured to accept their siblings, to know that they have equal rights. When they all grow up, they will still hold it in their offices, whether they are president, whether they are senator or whatever, they will still come up with that orientation. Why these people are doing this now is because of the orientation they had. And we may not change it from their own angle, but we can change it from our own children. Then our children will begin to hand it over to their own children. Gradually, this one now, the light that is coming up will swallow up the darkness of discrimination and inequality. That is what I have to say.
Fantastic. The light that is coming up will swallow up the inequality. Thank you very much, Madam Hope. We asked Madam Marjorie a quick question. Madam Marjorie, you see, we have 1 million women's rights group. We have domestic violence days, women for women that, this one for this, that one for that. A whole lot of NGOs in Nigeria fighting for women's rights. Yet, you can mute, Madam Hope. Madam Hope, you can mute. A whole lot of women's rights movement in Nigeria. Hey, Jesus. Yet, Nigeria can boast of 0 president, 0 senator, 0. In fact, we only have 1 billionaire woman in Nigeria. And yet, we have hundreds and hundreds of NGO for women. That tells a lot. However, what I want to say is that it's over 100 years since the human rights movement. Yet in Nigeria, if you just I've already randomly sampled the opinion of family members before, and you ask them, who should be the leader? My husband. Who should be rich? My husband. As if they are nobody. Women, in fact, we laugh at a woman if she's not married. She's looked down upon. My question to you is, how effective are all these multiple, quadruple, hundreds of even 1,000 women movements in Nigeria? How effective is it at driving change for equality for women? Are they just there to seek for money for their pockets, or are they actively fighting? I don't mean doing policies, I mean fighting, taking men that rape women to jockeying, doing things to ensure empowering women and sponsoring women, being a role model for women. Are they effective at doing that? Or are they just a form like churches, how churches are growing? Are they just looking for their pockets? Madam Majorie.
Thank you very much. They are effective as the environment that has nurtured them. That brings me back to what Madam Hope said. But I would say that nature and nurturing, it's not a one-off thing. There are other conditions that need to be met. It has to be a holistic process to arrive at that. We need the laws to be implementable and effective. We need schools to be on board. We need religious spaces to do the right thing. This will now make very good impact, because the children who have been nurtured differently will now be helped by the structures in the society to attain whatever heights they so choose. Now, the proliferation of female-led NGOs, have they been effective in protecting women's rights? Have they been effective in projecting empowerment and projecting women into offices in politics and all that? I would say the answer is no.
Absolutely, like I said, because we can see it in Nigeria.
Very obvious. We cannot be delusional about this. We can look at the process. We can look at the processes. It's not enough to have a policy. A policy can be a policy if if it's just there and it's not implemented, and the people do not even understand that policy. You might just be pouring water on a stone or backing a dead horse. In Imo State House of Assembly, for instance, there is no female representation. In Abia State House of Assembly, there is no female representation. This is in the southeast. Imo State is touted as the most educationally advanced state in Nigeria. And this is what the present reality. We've just been in the ninth assembly, they had 2 women. Now there is 0 women. In the Senate, Senator Natasha Aboti Uduaga's a situation is being discussed and perpetuated for everybody to see shamelessly. There is just 3 women in the Senate, and Natasha is one of those women. They've effectively used their patriarchal systems and structures to eliminate her, and that leaves 2 women out of 106 senators of the Federal Republic. That tells the story of it. Now, what am I saying? That I'm saying no, and it's not effective. It doesn't mean there are not good women who are in the front of pushing and supporting women. There is a Relubisi Akinfemi, who has come out strongly to condemn strong and powerful women who are negatively impacting. For me, the whole conversation around the sexual harassment of Senator Natasha Aboti Uduaga is the discouragement, the rollback effect on all the good work that few good women like Hope, my sister here, and some of us are doing. The rollback effect, because when a poor woman in Anambra, a poor woman in Niger State, a poor woman in Imo, in Rivers, sees what happens to a Senator Natasha Aboti in Nigerian Senate, if Natasha cannot get justice, how do you expect that woman in the backwaters of the southeast or south or northwest or northeast to believe you when you tell her that her right is protected, that she can get justice? Of course, she will not believe you, especially if she has seen or followed the trend of what is happening. So it's a whole lot of ineffectiveness, because the failure of, especially the failure of Nigerian women-led organizations to use the commemorative date of the International Women's Day to stand and support actions to validate Senator Natasha's voice and insist that she be heard and get justice. If not for those allegations, because course, 2 years before this, another woman has raised the same cry. So when those things fail, when those structures, when those women that are visible in leadership spaces, even in the civil society and the NGO spaces, are not doing this, but are rather chasing funding to and then bouncing to somebody's programmatic outline. And that person who is providing that funding might be male. So if that person is a man, of course you will have to follow the agenda because it's an agreement. If he says run, you run. He says go, you go. He says sit down, you sit down. But finally, like I've said, if we want effectiveness, we need change because this is all about proposing what to go forward and effect change. I think we should look back at what Hope has said here, which is nurturing our children, especially the boy versus the girls, differently, equally, without any discrimination. And then we can look at what Ike Natu has said. We should learn to also do the same thing. Not focus on the girl child while we forget that these girls who will raise so well will go back and be married, dated by these same guys, boys whom we have failed to give the premium attention as well. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. What a statement. Thank you very much. And on that note, I want to come back quickly to Barrister. If you want to mute Madam Majorie, thank you very much. So, Barrister, Madam Majorie is a wonderful woman. I like her, or rather, I love her. I also love each and every one of you. But what she says, she keeps going back to Natasha. She keeps going back to Natasha. If I ask one question, she goes back to Natasha. We expect to talk about Natasha. But for now, I want to say, let us continue to get family members because sometimes if we come and jump into Natasha, people will be like, oh, they start pushing back. It's not me. Who knows what she did? Or who knows what? They will start pushing back. So I want to, first of all, empower us, both men and women. Then we can come down to Natasha. Even if we need to do it next week, I don't mind. Women's rights is not a day issue. Women's Day is not a day. It should be a daily basis. So back to you, Barrister. Marjorie has continually talked about Natasha's case. I will tell you, like she said in Nigerian Senate, definitely she's correct. She said 3, I think it's 4, unless I'm wrong, because we have 109 Senate seats. And out of 109, we have 105 men. Therefore, 4 generally will be women. And even the ethics committee that suspended Natasha have a woman in that committee. We have been talking about women in government, women in Senate, women as a president, yet the women in the Senate overwhelmingly are talking against Natasha. For example, the only woman in the ethics committee voted for Natasha to be suspended 6 months, even without giving her a listening ear. Even if, let's be honest, let's agree that she flaunted the rules of the parliament. Okay, she's flaunted the rules of the Senate. Have any other person flaunted this rule before? I heard even Okpabio in his own days, when they changed seat, he opposed it, whether he did it right or wrong. He opposed it. And a lot of people have done worst things. In fact, they say she raised her voice. She said she invoked Article this or whatever command she invoked. But the issue is
10 order and Article 10 of their rules.
Article 10. Thank you. I'm correct. My brain deserves me because I've worked in Senate, National Assembly as a youth corper before. So she invoked Article 10, which allows you to speak. But they don't listen. A lot was done, but we will not go into it today. I don't want us to talk about it today, but I'm just giving a little history. So this lady, where I'm coming from is not just the men. I'm coming for the women. The only woman in the ethics committee smashed Natasha with 6 months suspension for just opposing moving of seats. Oya move, no now. Oya 6 months you're banned. No salary for 6 months. All security taken out. This and that come to you just because I say, and I know one shift. You, oh my God. The height and the extent of punishment given to this woman is malicious. To talk about the list, it is, in fact, it is reinforcing that women have no say, because is it not the Senate we watch? Is it not the Senate where they fight? Look, I did not come today to talk of Natasha, because Natasha will have a case for herself next week. Today, I'm here to talk about human rights, because this same Senate, where they carry seat and start fighting, they take the mace, they punch themselves, they stand up and curse. What they do and depict in the Senate House of Assembly of Nigeria is appalling, to say the least. And you're telling me that after all this nonsense they do, which is definitely mostly men, nothing mega, they come again and continue. For a woman to say, I was not informed. Hello, I was not informed about the seat change. I want to oppose Baba. They ban her, suspend her, 6 months salary cut off. A woman was involved in doing this. Excuse me. So, what I want to say is, Barrister Godfrey, without touching on Natasha, you will come next week Sunday. It will be dedicated to Natasha. But for this Sunday, I want to say to you that it is again over 100 years since women's rights movement kickstarted. Over 100 years. And yet, we can boast of zero, because something about 3-point-something%, 3 women or 4 women out of over 100, no president, no governor, apart from 0.0, that's a governor that came and said hello and was removed after 3 months of saying hello. We have no governor that is a female, no Senate president, no nothing. 1 billionaire woman in the whole of the nation. I think that the movements for women's rights have not progressed. This year's theme is called Accelerate Action. And for me and us all in IOM, accelerate action is now, women, we don't try. It never work as we want them to work. Now, men, enter this fight. That is IOM call. Men, come into this fight. And on that note, Barrister, I want to ask you a question. The question I want to ask you is this. What are some harmful gender stereotypes that men unknowingly or knowingly reinforce? I repeat, what are some of you are a man? You know what men do? I'm not saying you, Barrister, in particular, but I'm saying men, because you are a man. So what are the harmful gender stereotype that men knowingly or unknowingly do that reinforces discrimination and abuse, inequality? And secondly, how can Nigerian men challenge societal norms that limit women's opportunity? Because this country where we are, men are in the forefront of women equality. In fact, most of the people fighting for the agenda for women equality are men. So I ask you again, what are those stereotypes that men knowingly or unknowingly do that reinforces inequality? And how can men in Nigeria challenge these norms and tradition, religion that limit women opportunities? Thank you, Barrister.
Thank you very much. So, as a man in this present generation, I cannot readily pinpoint anything that men knowingly or unknowingly do to suppress women. That would be a very difficult thing, because I've had occasions to work with women. I respect those that merited respect. And any of them that didn't merit respect, you ignore the person. But what I will say is that Rome was not built in a day. It has been the norm that women are the underdogs. That is outdated. So, since Rome was not built in a day, women should not feel discouraged by whatever they feel that is being meted out to them. Women should continue to trudge along. One day they will get to that promised land. And how do they do it? If you are coming out for anything, you remain focused on it. Forget about the number, the overwhelming number that may be against you. A time will come, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but definitely in the future. A time will come.
The second question, thank you. The second question is, how can Nigerian men challenge societal norms like tradition, religion, that say women, as you said, are underdogs? How can Nigerian men, I'm not talking about women now, what they need to do. What should men do to accelerate action for women?
It is only going to be a very conscious action. Very conscious action. Let us bring some women, let us reserve some positions. Then the women will occupy certain positions, and from there they will grow. That's the most they can do. No man can come out and tell you, let the woman take over. Men don't say that. The woman will present herself, then some men will support her. But the only conscious action men can do is knowing the caliber of women they have come across. They can relate with the women, talk them into coming up for certain positions, for certain things, and backing them up with support. That is all. But the man cannot just come out and say, the woman must stay here. No. You know the women you have worked with. You know the women you have related with. You know what they can do. You can talk them. If I, at the risk of saying sweet, talk them into coming in. Some women will come in. You back them up, knowing fully well that you are aware of their capabilities. That is all. I don't think there's any more to it. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm looking at the time and I want us to close. And I want to beg you guys to please make yourselves available for this topic to continue next week. And next week, I want to assure you, what we just did here is intro, eye-opener, accelerate action. But next week, we shall dedicate it to, you can mute Barrister. Next week, we shall dedicate it to Natasha's case. And on that note, I want to say that a closing statement from me before we dance and I ask our sponsors to speak. I will say that men, for me, 2025 is a very important year. I repeat, 2025 is a very important year for women. Women, wake up. Wake up if you have been sleeping. Tetanola. In fact, we should have danced Tetanola, but we'll dance it next week. I have given you guys a clue of the song I May Dance. Don't go and say, she says she will dance Tetanola and guess Tetanola. I may not dance it. However, let's be more serious. Women, wake up. I've heard all the statements everyone is making. And I want to say, for me, it's about men. Women have tried over 100 and something days. Yet, it is appalling, the status of a woman in Nigerian society, which is where we are narrowing down. It's appalling. You cannot ever, in your widest dream, compare it to UK. Who born monkey banana? In UK, women are treated as human beings. In Nigeria, women are treated like underdogs, if I'm to borrow the word of our barrister. And I want to say, for me, This 2025 Women International Year is how can we align with our men? How can we get men as our allies? How can we get men to encourage their fellow men to advocate for gender equality and challenge the harmful norms of tradition, religion, culture, family issues that have continued to suppress the woman? For me, number one is men as our allies. Number two is awareness. If you want, you can call it education. But I'm not talking about just classroom education. I'm talking of awareness. And if it's in the classroom, how can the class teachers, instead of keeping a position for a man and another position under or a woman, how can we in education and in our society begin to promote gender equality through our education system? How can we challenge the traditional norms and believe that they teach us in the houses? How can we come to school and get relearning and unlearning of all those inferiority and superiority, gender, and all those rubbish? How can we use education system to challenge the traditional norms and belief? Another thing for me is role modeling. We have wonderful speaker like our IOM Dr. Hope. We have amazing speaker like our IOM Madam Majorie. How can Madam Majorie and Dr. Hope, how can they serve as role models and mentors? How can they do this for women? How can they highlight successful women leaders? And how can they inspire IOM members and girls around the world? I know they are doing this, but for me, I am hitting on this. For me, accelerate action is align with the men, use education as a forum to continue to push for gender equality, mentorship of women and men, like our barrister, I forgot to mention him, women and men. How can you mentor young girls to be leaders, to know that they are equal siblings in the household? Community engagement, to mention but the least. How can we encourage discussion? You know, most times women don't like talking about leadership. If I say it, if my husband hears it, he will divorce me and I am now marryless, womanless, and everything less. How can we encourage community engagement and discussion? How can we get everybody to start talking about it? Most times, when everything is brought to the open, people will start thinking, why is it like that? How can we get discussion within the communities to shift the mindset and the cultural perspective that have reduced woman and relegated her to the kitchen? What about our media houses? IOM is a media house, come on. What about media houses? How can we leverage on media houses to continue to challenge stereotypes like IOM in our mind we are all doing, with the wonderful speakers we have on board? How can we leverage on media houses to challenge stereotypes that have always reduced women and relegated them as a third-class citizen? Because men are the first-class citizen, boys are the second-class citizen, and girls are girls and women brackets are third-class citizen. How can we leverage on legal reforms, looking at more protection for our laws? But most importantly, how can we execute the existing laws? How can we empower women and girls to open up and go to court? Open up and go and report. Speak up, not just speaking up. For me, speaking up is now over. It's time for action. How can you, rather than speak up, go to the court and ask questions? Go to the police station and make a report. This person is abusing me. This person, how can we start fighting? How can, rather than, my father has and my brothers have taken the property, how can we go to court to challenge that? It is your fellow woman like you and me that went to to court to give us all women the leverage to get equal share of our father's property. It is no more time for talk. It is now time for action. And now we ask support network. How can we create support network like we have? How can you support one another? It's not pull down syndrome. It's support. Men get support from fellow men. How can women support fellow women to push and ensure we are pushing the right women into the seat of power, to be there in the decision-making houses, to advocate for us, you and me? How can we go down to the grassroots? How can we go down to the grassroots? You see, women empowerment, Women's Day is not Angels Day. This is what I was born for. Even in my sleep, I'm fighting for women. Even when anything I'm doing, I'm fighting for women. And I would say grassroots movement. How can we continue neighbor to neighbor, door to door, even in our houses, in training? When you give birth to a boy and a girl, like Sylvia, I saw your comment said, when you give birth to a boy and a girl, how can you start saying, training your boys and girls that you're human being, you're equal. Let them have opportunity to grow. Do not reduce one to elevate the other. How can we look at international support? That is what IOM want to start doing. How can we join things like UN Women? How can we you can connect to them. There is nothing. I'm still at the same time talking to IOM platform. How can we collaborate with all the international support out there? Because I tell you, even this place I am in, I will tell you that honestly speaking, if you shout Jen is police. If you shout J, I didn't say gender, I say J, police don't land. So how can we leverage on all this expertise? How can we connect with international world family members? I want to ask you a question. Are you telling me family members, Christabel, Aminat, I am calling upon you, Habiba, I'm talking to you, Mary, I'm talking to you, Oluwashewufumi, I'm talking to you, Christiana, I am calling you, Queen Gracious, Goben, I want to know, Oluwafemi, I want to know, what do you think you're lesser a human being than a white woman? Do you think of yourself, Tochukwu Okpala, Khadija Mohammed? Do you think that as a Nigerian woman, you're lesser of a human being than a British woman? I will say no. But why are you accepting what injustice, abuses, discrimination, and letdown being put on your head? Why do you say, oh, it's tradition, oh, it's religion, oh, it's society, oh, it's family? Why do you say that? What about these people? They have in fact, the religion we are talking about was imported. Nigeria did not start Christianity. Nigeria did not start Muslim religion. We inherited and it was imported. It was given to us. So when we say, oh, it's religion, excuse me, what do you mean by, oh, it's religion? Are you telling me that the white man that brought the religion, the Asian man that brought the religion to you, how is it in their country? I will tell you here. If my husband, in fact, here, a woman is so protected. As a woman in UK, as a black woman in UK, I have equal opportunity with the Queen of UK. As a black woman in I still say queen when we have king. As a black woman, I'm talking about me being black and a woman, but because of the environment, I am treated, in fact, anything I want, I can get it. All that it takes is me moving. As long as I move, the environment allows me to excel. But in Nigeria, as a black woman in Nigeria, oh, is religion. Oh, what do you mean by oh, is religion? A religion that was given to you by the white man. If you come here, the white man don't use that religion. He keeps the religion aside and look at Human Rights Declaration document of 1948, and he uses it to treat women equally to men. But we come, religion said we will carry the Bible on our head. In Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6 says, a woman is under the man. In Proverbs chapter not against the book. I'm telling you, what are you quoting? What the book you're quoting, is it your father that wrote it? The book you're quoting, now your father write them. Not your Igbo man bring and come. You the quote and pass your Igbo man will write them. What thing worry you? All the places that brought about this thing you're quoting, the Lord God said. What did he say? The Lord God said you're a human being. Religion that we inherited, we carry it on our head and we allow it to be subdued, and we allow ourselves to be abused because of that. Enough is enough. Time for words has passed. It's not time for action. Stand up, move. If anybody abuses you, go and fight for your rights. We used to say, speak up, speak up. Right now, I'm not saying speak up. I say, take action, accelerated action at that. And on that note, I want to say that we will definitely be coming back next week to talk about Natasha's case in particular, to accelerate action on Natasha. I want to say to the speakers, let us dance. Please, the dance there for my body. Let us dance. But before we dance, let me allow them to say one sentences. Madam Hope, I want to hear from you. What final word will you give to the family members? And you, Barrister Godfrey, what final word will you give to the family? Then I will dance and we'll come back next week. Madam Hope.
My word is that there is hope for us.
Continue. Thank you. Thank you. Barrister, what final word do you have for IOM family?
Like I said earlier on, Rome was not built in a day, but with determination and being focused, we'll definitely get there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That is amazing. Oh yeah, family members, as you guys are putting hashtag enough is enough, hashtag IOM accelerate action, please let us do hashtag let Nurse Angel dance, because I cannot come and kill myself. Hashtag Nurse Angel dance. Yes. So sorry. Yeah. I will try and dance as much as I can. On we hustle with my rapper to showcase I'm a Nigerian woman.
Only family we way ya we go we boya. Osu wampi ya we go su boya. Only family we way ya we go we boya. Osu wampi ya we go su boya. Select.
Yes, this is amazing. We have to go. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Hope. And I want to say, honestly, all these international dates was kickstarted by Madam Hope. I need to give her the glory. She keeps saying to me, how do we align ourselves with all these international days events? And I want to especially say thank you, Madam Hope, for pushing and pushing to ensure that we always mark international days. And on that note, I want to say in our mind is always, always in my mind, and my destiny is definitely in my own hands. We will definitely continue this International Women's Day next week Sunday with a particular focus on Natasha's case. Madam Hope, do you have your last comment to family members? Then we close. I know you said it before. You can say another one. One minute. We can't hear you. Repeat.
In our mind, family, I said, till we meet next Sunday, let us remain hopeful.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you. And bye-bye all. Goodbye. Goodbye.